Hello everybody and welcome back to another new vlog. Thank you for joining me, and first of all apologies for my lack of service over the past 2 or 3 weeks. I have been suffering quite badly with the worst flu I've ever had in my life, which is annoying for a start, but also it's even more annoying when you consider that at the beginning of this winter I had an opportunity to get a flu jab and decided to overlook it and avoid it. I wish I'd got that jab now, because I wouldn't have had such a terrible time with flu that I've had for the past two and a half weeks or so. Today really is the very first day that I've even felt like getting out of the house again, and I'm glad I did, because it's a beautiful day. There's not a huge amount of light and there's a little bit of a breeze, but it's reasonably warm and there's quite a bit of cloud in the sky, which makes for very interesting photos as well. So I decided that today would be a good day to get out and blow a few cobwebs away. But while I'm here, I want to talk about the cycle of life. Just behind me you'll see here the remains of a tree which has been deliberately cut down, and the reason for that was it had initially stood just here, just behind me in this patch here, and it was a big old birch tree that had been there for many decades, probably hundreds of years to be quite honest with you, but in recent weeks and months it had become diseased and rotten from the inside. So unfortunately the authorities around here decided it was better to cut it down and get rid of it rather than allow it to fall on a member of the public, because you'll notice here that I am not far from a path that runs along the side of this meadow, and there's a gate in the fence where generally the public tend to walk through and cut across this meadow quite often, and this tree was right within 30 or 40 feet from the gate, so it was already becoming a danger to the general public because of the general state it was in. So the decision was taken to cut it down. Whether you agree with that decision or not is completely up to you, but I think it was probably a good idea. However, I can understand why some people would think it's better to leave it standing, but I don't think that would have been advisable in this case. Anyway, I'm going to move on because I don't really want to stick around here for too long talking about a dead tree. So I'm going to see if I can find a couple of compositions and take some photos today. Every time I walk past this tree, it always looks the same, but different somehow. I think it's because of the way sometimes you end up with a lot of dead branches and bits of wood surrounding the tree. I think people use it as a meeting spot and create these kind of structures that act almost as a den, using loose branches and wood, and creating this kind of almost like a tent or a teepee effect with the wood. So every time you come past it, it looks a little bit different because somebody's added something to it. And every time I come past I try and spend a few minutes to see if I can find a new and interesting composition of this tree. At the moment I think it looks a little bit too busy with all of this wood around it for me to even consider it, but it's an interesting one that I always like to have a wander past every now and then, and I know that further along in this direction there could be 1 or 2 more interesting compositions of different trees in the area. So that's the way I'm going to head and see what I can find over there. But I'll leave this one alone for now, knowing that I can come back to it again at some point in the summer or in the spring. I'm really annoyed, folks. The last time I was here I noticed this before as well. There's a little brook here just behind me, and just to the one side of that brook there's a little path that runs down the side of the brook where I have been before to photograph and capture images looking back along the brook towards this little bridge crossing here on the path. Unfortunately, the path here, as you can see, has been blocked by holly, deliberately blocked. Branches pulled off, cut down and put across the path to stop people like me walking down that path to take photos. That's annoying. But also I've noticed there's quite a lot less water in the brook than I would have expected at this time of year. I think there is going to be one more decent composition from the other side of the brook, if I can possibly get down there without falling on my arse, where I can possibly get a decent image, one which I've never taken before. So I'm going to have a look at this and see if I can set something up here, and I hope you like this image. Rotten buggers. Just at the point where I wanted to stand to try and capture a composition, just here in fact, right behind me, they've also piled up a load more holly twigs and leaves to block off that little spot there where I would have wanted to stand right on the edge of the brook to capture a composition looking back towards the bridge at the top of the brook on the path. And obviously with that holly there, it's impossible to be able to do that, so I can't capture that image. I did however manage to capture one composition which I quite liked. I hope you like that image as well, but I'm still tempted to try and have a wander around to the other side of the brook and try and climb over that holly there, see if I can scramble across and get an image just next to there. It might be worth a try. Don't know for sure yet whether I can get away with it, so I'm going to have a look at that as well now. There was just no chance of getting over that holly. Where I was standing on the one side of that brook, I could see there was a branch in the holly that was sticking out just above the path, and from where I was standing it looked as though if I kind of walked around the side of the brook itself and over the bridge, I could probably just about climb over and scramble over that bit of branch that was sticking out and still get to the composition. However, as I walked around the brook and along the bridge and got to that area, I noticed there was another branch further up, higher up above that branch, which I couldn't see from where I was standing, that was sticking out at all kinds of odd angles, and just meant that it was impossible for me to scramble over that holly at all. So unfortunately there was no image there, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep going back every now and then to see if I can find an image there, because I can't believe it's not going to be possible to get back down there again at some point. In the meantime, I'm going to carry on up this path behind me, because I know there's a few compositions in this area as well. So here goes. There's a lovely scene here behind me. This bench just here and a couple of these trees make a perfect composition, but only at the right time of year. In the late autumn and early winter, where you've got all the leaves that have fallen off the trees and gone a golden reddish brown, they create quite an interesting colour throughout this scene. But what they also do is make the scene very, very busy, so there's no real composition here in this spot. However, at this time of year, right at the end of the winter, and we've had a very dry spell, what we've got is a lot of those red and golden leaves have now deteriorated and completely disappeared and left a much cleaner, nicer image, and you've got a much better surrounding. The background surrounding the bench is much cleaner and tidier as well. So what you end up with is a much better image at this time of year than you would do at any other time. Even in the summer this would be very overgrown and green and wouldn't work at all very well. So I'm glad I walked down this path today. I've been here a few times and noticed that composition and always wondered whether there was a composition here that would work at some point during the year. So I'm glad I've just about captured it now. It may still work again over the next few weeks as well, as things start to brighten up and the spring starts to spring. But I think at the moment it's just about perfect. So I hope you like that image. I'm going to move on and see if I can find anything else. I don't know if you've noticed in my voice, guys, every now and then it's still breaking up a little bit, and I'm finding it difficult sometimes to hold a conversation without coughing. That's thanks to this legacy of quite a chesty cough, which was one of the main symptoms of my flu over the last couple of weeks. And I was just thinking, this all started on the 16th of January, and as I record this today, it's the 2nd of February, so I'm into day 17 of it, and today is really the first day I've felt like actually being out of the house. But I'm glad I did come out of the house, because I am enjoying being out and about in nature and getting the fresh air again. It is quite a warm day as well for early February, so it's making me feel a lot better just being out and about, so I'm glad I did this. But I am finding it a little bit difficult on my chest as well, so I don't know how long this vlog's going to carry on for, but I'll carry on and see if I can find a few more images, and we'll see how the day goes. I'm back at one of my favourite trees, this one here behind me. I've shot this one on several occasions before, both from this side of the composition but also from the far side of the tree looking back in this direction. Both of those are quite interesting images at the right time of year. I think there may even be a composition here today as well, because I quite like the light on the tree, the side light coming from over in this direction onto the tree, which kind of makes the rest of the tree stand out. The dark areas and the shadow areas on the opposite side of the tree really kind of contrast well with those bright areas on this side of the tree. I also quite like the path that runs off on this side of the tree and another path on the opposite side of the tree. Kind of gives you that impression that the tree is kind of trying to point your way along either one of those paths. So I'll stop here and capture this tree once again, and then I'll move on. It's always good fun chipping down a path that you've never tried before. That one was a dead end, by the way, that last one I went down. I didn't know that at the time, but it was interesting anyway. And you never know, do you, what you might find when you go somewhere different. So I'm glad I did it. I've really enjoyed the sense of adventure this afternoon, even though it's been a little bit difficult at times. But I am glad I did it, and there are positives. So if you've enjoyed this week's vlog, I have enjoyed it, then please remember to like and subscribe, and also remember to comment and share if you've got any comments you want to make. Sharing the video would be great, and I look forward to seeing you again on another vlog very soon. Bye for now.